Los Santos, 1992. A city divided by gang violence, police corruption, and economic disparity. When Carl Johnson returned home after 5 years in Liberty City, he found his mother murdered, his family fractured, and his neighborhood overrun by rival gangs. His return begins with harassment from corrupt officer Frank Tenpenny, setting the stage for the conflicts to come. In the game we know, CJ rebuilds Grove Street families, battling rival gangs across San Andreas. But what if CJ had chosen a different path? The pivotal moment comes after Beverly Johnson's funeral. Sweet confronts CJ about abandoning the hood for 5 years. In our alternate timeline, instead of seeking Sweet's approval, CJ makes the fateful decision to pursue justice through legitimate means. Sweet's reaction is immediate and severe. He sees CJ's refusal to rejoin the gang as the ultimate betrayal of their mother's memory. This creates the first major rift between the brothers, one that will define their relationship throughout our alternate timeline. CJ's transition to legitimate business is anything but smooth. With no credit history and a criminal record, banks refuse his loan applications. Former friends like Ryder openly mock his ambitions, calling him a sellout for trying to leave gang life behind. Desperate for capital, CJ works odd jobs, delivering packages, parking cars, washing vehicles by hand. These humble beginnings are a far cry from the criminal empires he builds in the original game, but they represent the difficult reality of going legitimate from the streets. CJ's determination catches the attention of Cesar Villalpando. Impressed by CJ's work ethic, Cesar introduces him to an opportunity, a street race with potential investors looking for hungry entrepreneurs. As CJ finally scrapes together enough to lease a small car wash in Idlewood, Sweet's hostility intensifies. The location in Ballast territory is the ultimate insult. Sweet publicly disowns CJ, declaring that he no longer has a brother. The family splits further when Kendall sides with CJ, seeing hope in his business ventures while Sweet remains entrenched in gang life. This three-way family fracture plays out across Los Santos as each Johnson sibling pursues their own vision of their mother's legacy. Just as CJ begins making progress, corrupt officer Tenpenny emerges as his third major obstacle. Tenpenny sees CJ's ventures as a threat to the status quo. A successful black businessman from Grove Street would undermine the narrative of criminality that Crash uses to justify their control. The harassment is relentless. Health inspectors appear weekly. Suspicious contraband mysteriously turns up during police searches. Customers are intimidated. CJ realizes that legitimate success means confronting systemic corruption, not just individual criminals. CJ's breakthrough comes when he meets Woozy Moo, after winning a street race organized by Cesar. Despite his blindness, Woozy recognizes CJ's potential and offers him crucial business guidance. With Woozy's assistance, CJ secures his first significant investment to expand beyond the car wash. He establishes Johnson Automotive Detail, a higher-end service targeting upscale clients. This creates his fourth major obstacle: class discrimination. As wealthy clients hesitate to trust a business owned by someone from Grove Street, CJ must reinvent himself, adopting new speech patterns, clothing styles, and business etiquette. This transformation creates further distance between him and Sweet, who sees CJ's adaptation as rejection of his roots rather than a necessary strategy for survival. With Grove Street weakened without CJ's support, Sweet walks into an ambush set by the Ballas. Without CJ to rescue him as in the original game, Sweet faces serious prison time on weapons charges augmented by Tenpenny's false testimony. Prison only hardens Sweet's resentment. Each visit becomes a battleground of bitter accusations. Sweet sees his imprisonment as proof that CJ abandoned the hood when it needed him most. The divide between the brothers grows wider with each passing month. Despite Sweet's rejection, CJ leverages his growing legitimate resources, legal connections, money for better lawyers, and evidence against Crash to work toward his brother's release. When Sweet is finally released, his resentment has only calcified. He refuses CJ's offer of housing and employment, choosing instead to stay with former Grove Street members still loyal to the gang. The brothers' relationship seems irreparably broken. Throughout his business struggles and Sweet's rejection, one motivation burns brighter than all others for CJ: finding his mother's killers. Using his network of employees and clients as informants, CJ methodically gathers evidence about that fateful night. After months of investigation, CJ makes the painful decision to approach Sweet one last time. not for reconciliation, but because the truth he's uncovered is too devastating to withhold, even from a brother who wants nothing to do with him. The revelation hits Sweet like a physical blow. Through photographs and recorded conversations, he sees the unthinkable truth. Big Smoke and Ryder, his oldest friends, men he considered brothers, were working with the Ballas and Crash they helped orchestrate the drive-by that killed their mother. For Sweet, this betrayal cuts deeper than any wound. Every shared battle, every moment of solidarity, all now revealed as lies. His entire adult life had been built on loyalty to friends who had betrayed him at the deepest level possible. Sweet's reaction is explosive, raw, unfiltered rage that manifests in destruction. When the storm finally subsides, he faces CJ with new eyes, not those of reconciliation, but of reluctant respect. After his initial rage subsides, Sweet demands to know everything CJ has discovered. His voice is strained, caught between fury and devastation. Throughout the night, CJ reveals his entire investigation, the evidence against Big Smoke, Ryder, Tenpenny, and the corrupt system that enabled them. When CJ finishes, Sweet's response is predictable. He wants direct, violent revenge. 2 bullets, 2 traitors, immediate justice. It's here that CJ reveals his more strategic vision for justice, not just killing 2 betrayers, but bringing down the entire corrupt system. Sweet initially rejects this approach outright. What finally begins to sway Sweet isn't sentiment, but strategy. CJ methodically demonstrates how direct retaliation would fail, how Tenpenny's system is designed to neutralize exactly the kind of street justice Sweet advocates. It's not about morality, but effectiveness. CJ's approach has the better chance of success. Reluctantly, Sweet acknowledges that while he doesn't understand the legal approach, he does know the streets, where people hide, who they talk to, what they fear. This knowledge could be valuable to CJ's investigation. It's not an endorsement of CJ's entire philosophy, but an acknowledgement that their skills combined might achieve what neither could alone. This reluctant offering represents the first crack in Sweet's resistance, not acceptance of CJ's entire philosophy, but acknowledgement that their skills combined might achieve what neither could alone. United by grief and purpose, the Johnson brothers form an uneasy alliance. Sweet's street knowledge fills crucial gaps in CJ's investigation. CJ's resources provide reach that Sweet never had. Together, they build a comprehensive case documenting the conspiracy. The alliance slowly extends beyond their investigation. Sweet cautiously visits CJ's businesses, initially to use them as covers for surveillance, but gradually seeing their value to the community. He watches former gang members earning legitimate paychecks, sees families stabilized by consistent income. These encounters force Sweet to question his definitions of loyalty and respect. The transformation isn't smooth. Sweet frequently reverts to gang mentalities, threatens to abandon the legal approach for direct revenge, and clashes with CJ over strategy. But each setback is followed by reluctant return, as Sweet can't deny the evidence of success around him. With Sweet's reluctant but valuable input, CJ's businesses expand. Johnson Automotive Detail grows into Johnson Vilpando Custom Autos. CJ establishes Johnson Properties, focusing on affordable housing in neglected neighborhoods. Sweet's role remains unofficial. He's willing to help, but not to be publicly associated with going legitimate. Behind the scenes, however, Sweet becomes a crucial bridge between CJ's businesses and the streets. His respect among gang members allows him to identify those truly seeking a way out, steering them toward opportunities with CJ while maintaining plausible deniability about his own involvement. With their case complete, the Johnson brothers support the prosecution against Tenpenny and Pulaski, but in a painful echo of the original game, the system protects its own. Despite compelling evidence, the officers are acquitted on all charges. When the verdict is announced, Sweet explodes with rage, shouting that CJ's approach has failed completely. This moment represents Sweet's strongest reversion to his old thinking. The acquittal seems to confirm everything he believed about the futility of working within a corrupt system. He storms out, seemingly ready to gather what remains of Grove Street for direct retaliation. As riots erupt across Los Santos, CJ frantically searches for Sweet, knowing his brother is likely to seek violent revenge that will destroy both their lives. He finds Sweet at their childhood home on Grove Street, surrounded by former gang members ready for war. CJ desperately tries to make Sweet understand that this violent reaction is exactly what Tenpenny wants, the community destroying itself while he walks free. It's here that CJ reveals the final phase of his strategy, using the riots not as destructive revenge but as leverage, forcing the city to the negotiating table with demands for concrete change. Sweet's transformation reaches its turning point not through smooth acceptance but through grudging pragmatism. With visible reluctance, he agrees to try CJ's approach one last time, but makes it clear that if this strategy fails too, he'll return to his original plan for violent retribution. This reluctant agreement isn't full conversion to CJ's philosophy, but another step in Sweet's ongoing struggle between old loyalties and new possibilities. Together, the brothers organize their community amid the chaos, transforming blind rage into focused demands. 1 year after the riots, the results of the brothers' uneasy alliance begin to materialize. Johnson Properties renovates affordable housing in Ganton. Johnson Villalpando Custom Autos employs dozens of former gang members. The newly established Beverly Johnson Community Center offers education and job training. Sweet's transformation remains incomplete. He struggles daily with his new identity, sometimes disappearing back to his old haunts and habits. But each time he returns, drawn not by full conviction, but by the undeniable evidence that this approach is working where gang life failed. By 1997, 5 years after CJ's return, the Johnson brothers have achieved an uneasy balance. Not perfect agreement, but mutual respect for their different strengths. This alternate timeline for CJ highlights themes already present in San Andreas: how environment shapes choices, how systemic forces perpetuate cycles of violence, and how the same skills that make someone successful in crime could translate to legitimate success, given different opportunities and choices. Carl Johnson's journey, whether as a gang leader or businessman, ultimately centers on the same core values: loyalty to family, desire for justice, and determination to build something meaningful in a world stacked against him. The most powerful element may be Sweet's difficult journey from resistance to grudging respect, showing that change, while never easy, remains possible even for those most committed to the old ways. What do you think? Would CJ's skills have translated to legitimate business success? Could his relationship with Sweet have survived such a radical change in direction? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this exploration of an alternate San Andreas. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more gaming what-ifs and alternate timelines.